Everyone in town knew Dr. Michael Okoro as a miracle worker. To the public, he was a respected fertility doctor, the man responsible for giving laughter back to childless homes. His name was spoken with admiration, his clinic always busy, and his success unmatched. But among the rich and powerful, his name carried a different kind of weight. They knew him, not officially, not openly, but they knew him. When all other options failed, there was always one last solution. They mentioned quietly, Dr. Michael Okoro. No questions, no records, no mistakes. And he was never spoken about twice. Behind the clean white walls of his clinic, Dr. Okoro kept his true business hidden from the world. Whenever desperate women arrived, poor mothers, abandoned wives, or frightened girls with unwanted pregnancies, he received them with calm sympathy and a trusted smile. He promised them help, protection, and money that could solve all their problems, the kind of money they could never refuse, in exchange for the baby they carry. But what they didn't know was that every agreement came with a hidden cost. The babies were never seen again, never recorded, and never traced. To the outside world, they simply disappeared. And while the public believed he was saving lives, the wealthy believed he was providing them. A secret arrangement existed beneath the surface silent deals between desperation and desire. Babies were exchanged through quiet channels, and fortunes changed hands in sealed envelopes and private accounts. For years, Dr. Michael Okoro moved in this hidden world untouched, protected by silence from both the poor who fed him and the rich who depends on him, until one day, everything changed. In that same town lives a woman named Grace. Grace had always lived a life many could only dream of. Born into wealth, she never knew struggle. Her parents were among the elite, and from a young age, she was surrounded by luxury, expensive clothes, round houses, and cars that turned heads whenever they passed. To Grace and her circle of friends, life was not just about living well. It was about proving who lived better. Her friends were just like her, daughters of rich families, now married into greater wealth. Whenever they gathered, it was never ordinary. It was a silent competition. "Did you see my new car?" one would say. "Oh, that. I just got 2 more last week," another would reply with a smirk. They laughed, sipping expensive wine and comparing diamonds, bags, and vacations as if they were trading cards. Grace was no different. After marrying Anthony, a billionaire businessman, her life became even more extravagant. Their mansion stood like a palace. Their garage housed cars most people only saw in movies. Together, they attended high-class events, stepping out in style, cameras flashing, heads turning. And every time Grace stepped into a garden with her friends, she made sure she was noticed. But behind all that glitter, there was one thing missing: a child. At first, she ignored it, but slowly, it became impossible to escape. One by one, her friends began to have children. At gatherings, the conversations changed. "My son just started walking. My daughter is already talking." And then the jokes will begin. "Grace, you better hurry, we are leaving you behind." Or maybe you enjoy this baby-free life too much. They laughed, but each laugh felt like a knife. Grace would force a smile, but inside, she was breaking. Soon, she started avoiding them. No more parties, no more gatherings, no more competition. Years passed, quiet and heavy. Then one day, everything changed. Grace was pregnant. The news spread like wildfire. For the first time in years, she felt complete. She glowed with happiness, walking proudly, holding her stomach as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. She called her friends. "Oh, now you people can't laugh at me anymore," she said with a proud smile. "My child is coming." Her confidence returned. Her joy overflowed. In that same town lived another woman named Mercy. Her life was the complete opposite of Grace's. Mercy was married to a hard-working but poor mechanic. They lived in a small house, barely enough to keep out the rain. Every day, Mercy sat by the roadside, frying yams and plantains, calling out to passers-by. Her hands were always busy, her face often tired, but her heart was full. Unlike Grace, Mercy was also pregnant. Though she had little, she carried her pregnancy with quiet gratitude. 9 months passed, and one day, the sky grew dark. Heavy clouds gathered, and the wind began to howl. The air smelled of rain. A storm was coming. Inside the mansion, Grace suddenly cried out, "Anthony, it's time." The contractions had begun. Anthony rushed to her side, panic in his eyes. "Hold on, Grace. We're going to the hospital now." He quickly helped her into the car and sped off, the rain beginning to fall heavily against the windshield. At the same time, across town, Mercy bent over in pain. Her own contraction had also begun. Before he didn't waste a second, he helped her into a tricycle, and they sped off as fast as they could. The rain poured harder now, soaking everything in its path. They reached a small local hospital, and nurses quickly rushed Mercy inside. Meanwhile, Anthony struggled to see through the heavy rain as he drove towards a luxurious private hospital. Grace screamed in pain. "I can't hold on anymore." Her voice echoed inside the car. Anthony looked ahead, his heart racing. Then he saw it, a local hospital nearby, and without thinking twice, he swerved into the compound. "I can't risk it," he muttered to himself. "She needs help now." And as fate would have it, this was the hospital where Dr. Okoro works. Nurses rushed out with a stretcher, and quickly, they took Grace inside. Minutes later, Grace was in the delivery room, screaming, pushing, fighting through the pain. Outside, Anthony paced anxiously. Another man stood there too, wet from the rain, restless, pacing back and forth. They looked at each other briefly, but said nothing. Both were waiting. Both were afraid. Then, a cry filled the air. Grace had given birth. When they placed the baby in her arm, tears of joy streamed down her face. "My baby," she whispered. But moments later, something was wrong. The baby wasn't breathing properly. The cries weakened, then stopped. The doctor quickly took the baby. Panic filled the room. They tried everything, but it wasn't enough. The baby didn't survive. Grace's world shattered. "No, no, no," she screamed. "No, no." The room filled with grief. They had waited for years, only to lose everything in minutes. In another room, Mercy was also in labor. She cried out as she delivered her baby. A loud cry filled the room. "It's a baby," the nurse announced. Mercy smiled weakly, but then the nurse said, "There's another one." With her remaining strength, she pushed again and delivered the second baby. Twins. 2 crying babies filled the room with life. The doctor, overwhelmed and alone, rushed out of Grace's room, heading to Mercy's. But before he could go far, Anthony grabbed him. "Doctor, my baby, what happened?" The doctor stopped. He looked at Anthony, his face heavy. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "There was nothing I could do." Anthony's legs gave way. He fell to his knees. "We've waited for years," he cried. "I can't go home without a baby. Please, you have to help me." His voice broke as the storm raged outside, thunder echoing through the night. The doctor stood still, staring at Anthony as the rain pounded against the roof. I don't understand," he said slowly, his voice uncertain. "Your baby has already passed. There's nothing more I could do." But Anthony didn't move. "Doctor, please." His voice broke as tears streamed down his face. "We have waited for years. Years. I cannot go home like this. I can't face her. I can't face anyone." The doctor was taken aback. He had seen grief before, but this desperation, this was different. Before he could respond, hurried footsteps echoed down the corridor. "Doctor," a nurse called out breathlessly. The woman in the other room, She has fainted. Grace, Anthony shouted. The doctor didn't waste a second. He rushed into the room. Grace lay still on the bed, her body limp, her face pale. The nurse quickly handed the doctor what he needed, and he walked swiftly, reviving her. After a moment, her eyelids fluttered. She opened her eyes weakly, and then tears rolled down her cheeks. "My baby," she whispered faintly. Then her voice trembled as panic crept in. "They will laugh at me, my friends. They will laugh at me," she cried softly. "I can't bear it. I will kill myself. I swear I will." "Grace, no," Anthony held her hand tightly, his voice shaking. Both of them turned to the doctor, their eyes filled with desperation. "Doctor, please," Anthony said. "There must be something you can do." The doctor shook his head, confused and troubled. "The baby is gone," he said firmly. "I'm sorry, but there's nothing I can do." Anthony hesitated for a second, then leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I know you. You are the one they talk about," he said quietly, almost afraid of his own words. "The doctor people whispered about, the one who handles secret cases for desperate women." His voice dropped even lower. "They said you can help people. No one else will help. No questions asked. If you help me, I will reward you in a very big way." For a moment, there was silence. Then the doctor's eyes widened in shock. "Do you know what you're asking me to do?" Anthony quickly spoke. "I'll give you 10 million. The doctor shook his head, already turning away. 50 million, Anthony said quickly. The doctor paused, but didn't turn. "I could lose my license for this," he replied, pretending like he doesn't know what Anthony is talking about. Pretending like he has never done it before. Anthony's voice became more urgent. "I'll give you 200. That made the doctor froze. Slowly, he turned back. His mouth opened slightly in shock. 200 million? He had never seen even a quarter of that amount in his entire life. Before he could speak, Anthony added, "And I will make sure you get a position in a top private hospital, with a very high salary and better opportunities." The doctor's heart pounded. His mind raced. He looked at Grace, weak, broken, trembling on the bed. He looked at Anthony, desperate, pleading, shattered. Then he exhaled slowly. I can't promise anything," he said at last. "There is no guarantee." And with that, he turned and walked away. The doctor hurried down the corridor toward Mercy's room. Inside, Mercy had just delivered her second baby. She lay there, exhausted, barely conscious. The doctor quickly stepped in. "We need to clean and examine the babies," he said, and without delay, he carried them out to another room. He stood inside a small private room and looked from one baby to the other. They were identical, same tiny nose, same closed eyes, same face, same gentle movements. For a moment, his mind raced. He had already promised one baby to Anthony and Grace for a prize that would bring him a fortune. But if he told them that the child had an identical twin, they might reject the arrangement entirely out of fear or suspicion. He tightened the blanket around one child and frowned. "This deal is too good to lose," he thought quietly. They had waited for a child. Once they hold him, they won't care about anything else. Then he called one of the nurses, someone he knew was loyal to him. His voice dropped to a whisper as he explained everything to her. And moments later, the plan was set. The nurse brought in the lifeless baby. Carefully, quietly, they made the switch. One of Mercy's twins was taken to Grace. The other remained. At the corridor, Ifeanyi stood, smiling to himself despite the storm. "My children," he muttered happily. Then, the doctor approached him slowly. His expression had changed. "I'm sorry," he said. Ifeanyi's smile faded instantly. "One of the babies didn't survive." The words hit him like a blow. "What?" His voice trembled. The doctor placed a hand on his shoulder. "But the other baby is strong," he added quickly. "Very strong. He will live." Ifeanyi swallowed hard, tears forming in his eyes. And my wife?" "She's weak," the doctor replied. "But she'll wake up soon." Ifeanyi nodded slowly, trying to stay strong. Hours later, Mercy opened her eyes. Her body felt heavy. Her heart raced as she looked around. "Where are my babies?" she asked. The nurse gently handed her the surviving twin. Tears streamed down her face as she held the child close. "You are alive," she whispered. Though pain filled her heart, the sight of her baby gave her comfort. In another room, Grace held a baby in her arms. Tears of joy replaced her earlier cries. "My child," she whispered, smiling weakly. Anthony stood beside her, overwhelmed with relief. "Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much," he said repeatedly. But even with the baby in their arms, fear lingered. What they had done, the risk, the secret, it weighed heavily on them. "We have to leave," Grace said nervously. Anthony nodded. And that same night, under the cover of darkness and rain, they checked out quietly from the hospital. Grace and Anthony never took a single moment with their child for granted. They named him Prince. From the very beginning, they guarded him like a treasure that could never be replaced. Every step he took, every place he went, they were there. At parks, while other children ran freely, Prince was never far. At parties and events, while other parents mingled freely, Grace's eyes were always on him. Anthony, too, was no different. The fear of losing him, he never truly left them. And years later, when Prince was about 5 years old, Grace became pregnant again. This time, the joy came with less fear, but just as much excitement. She gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. They named her Favor. Their home became filled with laughter. 2 children running around, their voices echoing through the halls. Grace often smiled to herself, watching them play. "This is the life I prayed for," she would say. Across town, in a much smaller home, Mercy held her own child close. She had named him Samuel. Life was not easy, but it was full. Years went by, and Mercy gave birth to 2 more children, a boy and a girl. They named them Onyeka and Blessing. The 3 children grew up together, bound not by luxury, but by love. Every morning, Mercy would prepare her yams and plantain, and the children would help her. "Samuel, turn that one carefully. Onyeka, bring more firewood. Blessing, stay close to me." Her small roadside business began to grow. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Their father, Ifeanyi, still worked hard as a mechanic. No matter how tired he was, one thing never changed: his eagerness to return home. And he never returned empty-handed. As soon as he got close to the time he usually returned, the children would gather outside, eyes fixed on the road. Blessing would shout the moment they saw him. They would run toward him, laughing, jumping, clinging to him. "Daddy, Daddy." Ifeanyi would laugh, lifting one child with one arm, another clinging to his leg. Mercy would stand at a distance, watching them with a warm smile. "Welcome," she would say softly when he reached her. They were not rich, but they were happy. Years passed again. Prince was now 22 years old. Grace and Anthony had done everything possible to protect their secret, to keep him far from anything that could expose the truth. They sent him abroad to study. Now, he was back. As the plane landed, Prince stepped out tall, confident and smiling. Grace waited impatiently, her eyes scanning every face. Then she saw him. She rushed forward and pulled him into a tight embrace. My son. That evening, when Anthony returned from work, he was just as excited. "Welcome back, son," he said, embracing him firmly. Favor ran in happily. "Big brother." Their home was alive again. After a few days of rest, Anthony took Prince to his company. "This is yours as much as it is mine," he said proudly. Prince began working there, and it didn't take long for people to notice him. He was smart, confident, and carried himself with authority. One day, after work, Prince decided to take his car for a routine servicing. The engine needed attention, an oil change, and general maintenance. He drove into a mechanic workshop. It was a modest place, filled with the sounds of tools and engine. That workshop belonged to Efai. As the car rolled in, Efai quickly wiped his hands and stepped forward, ready to attend to the new customer. "Welcome, sir." But the words caught in his throat. Prince stepped out of the car, and in that moment, everything stopped. Efai froze. His eyes widened as he stared at the young man. That face. It was the face of his son, Samuel. But how? His mind raced. How could his son be here, driving such an expensive car, dressed in clothes he could never afford? He said nothing. He just stood there, staring, confused, shocked, and lost in a storm of thoughts he could not yet understand. The young man stepped closer. "Good afternoon, sir," Prince said politely. "Are you the mechanic here?" But Efrain didn't respond. His mind was far away, lost in a whirlwind of thoughts. He kept staring at the boy's face, studying every detail. The eyes, the nose, the shape of his jaw. It was too familiar. "Sir," Prince asked again, a little louder this time. Efrain suddenly snapped out of it. Yes, I am," he replied quickly, trying to compose himself. Prince gave a small smile. "I came for routine servicing," he said. "Just an oil change and a general checkup." Efrain nodded. He got to work immediately, but his hands weren't as steady as usual. From time to time, he would pause and glance at Prince. Prince began to feel uncomfortable. Why is this man staring at me like this? He wondered. Meanwhile, Efrain's thoughts refused to settle. Even his voice, it sounds like Samuel. The resemblance wasn't just physical. It was in his tone, the calmness, the way he spoke. It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. After finishing the oil change and inspection, Efrain wiped his hands. "It's done," he said. Prince paid him without hesitation and turned to leave. But just as he was about to step into his car, Efrain spoke. "Wait!" Prince turned. Efrain hurried toward him, his face serious. "Please, who are you?" he asked. Prince blinked, surprised. I don't understand." Efrain took a step closer, his voice softer now. "You look exactly like my son," he said. "Exactly like him." For a moment, Prince didn't know what to say. He forced a small polite smile. "I think that's just a coincidence," he replied calmly. They spoke for a few minutes. Efrain asked questions. Where he was from, what he did. Prince answered politely but briefly, not thinking much of it. To him, it was just a strange encounter, nothing more. Soon, he got into his car and drove away. But Efrain remained standing there, watching the car disappear. His mind was still restless. Something wasn't right. That evening, when he got home, he couldn't keep it to himself. "Mercy," he called. "You won't believe what I saw today." As they sat together, he explained everything. The young man, the face, the voice, the resemblance. It was like looking at Samuel. Mercy frowned slightly. "You are probably just tired," she said. "Or maybe you saw someone who looks just similar." Onyeka and Blessing laughed lightly. "Daddy, people can look alike now," Onyeka said. Even Samuel, who just returned from work, shook his head. Samuel worked as a dispatch rider for a small company. Every morning, he would rush out with his bike, delivering packages across town, and sometimes returning late at night, exhausted. "Papa, you're exaggerating," Samuel said with a small smile. They all laughed, but Efrain didn't. He sat quietly, still deep in thought, because what he saw that day didn't feel like a coincidence. A few weeks passed after the encounter at the workshop, and life continued quietly for both families, until one evening, everything changed for Efrain's household. Mercy had been feeling unwell for days. At first, it seemed minor, frequent headaches, dizziness, and unusual fatigue. She brushed it off as stress from work. But that evening, while preparing a small meal for the family, her hand suddenly trembled. The room spun around her. "Mercy!" Efrain called, noticing her unsteady movement. Before she could respond, Her legs gave way, and she collapsed. "Mom!" Blessing screamed. Panic filled the house. Samuel and Onyeka rushed to her side, while Ifeanyi gently lifted her head, his face already filled with fear. "We have to take her to the hospital now," he said urgently. They rushed her to the nearest hospital, using a tricycle. After several examinations and tests, the doctor requested to speak with Ifeanyi alone. When they stepped aside, the doctor's expression was serious. "Your wife has severe hypertension that has led to complications affecting her kidney," the doctor exclaimed. "Her blood pressure is dangerously high, and her kidney function is declining. If not treated properly and urgently, it could become life-threatening." Ifeanyi's heart sank. Is there a treatment?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Yes," the doctor replied, "but she will require continuous treatment, medications, possible specialized care, and regular monitoring. More importantly, it requires significant financial commitment." "Money," Ifeanyi whispered. The doctor nodded. "It will not be cheap." The amount mentioned felt overwhelming. It was far beyond anything they had ever planned for. He tried everything. He reached out to his friends, begged for loans, even sold some of his tools, but he was nowhere near enough. At home, the reality set in. Mercy lay weak on the bed, unable to carry out her daily activities. The children moved quietly around her, their usual laughter replaced with concern. Samuel watched everything closely. He saw his father pacing. He saw his mother struggling to sit up. He saw the hospital bills piling up, and he felt helpless. That day, Samuel received a call. It was from one of his friends. "Samuel, I heard what's going on," the voice said. "There's a job. It pays very well. Fast money." "What kind of job?" Samuel asked. "Just delivery," his friend replied. "Nothing too serious, but it pays big." Samuel looked around his house, at everything falling apart. "I'll do it," he said. Later that evening, he arrived at the location. The place didn't feel right. Men stood around, quiet and watchful. The air was tense. His friend walked up to him. "You are here," he said. Samuel nodded. "Where's the package?" His friend handed him a small, tightly wrapped parcel. "Just deliver this to the address I'll send you." Samuel frowned. "What's inside?" His friend looked at him straight in the eye. "Don't ask questions." Samuel hesitated, but agreed. He started the deliveries. At first, he didn't ask questions. All he knew was this: every time he picked up a package and delivered it, he was paid a huge amount of money. Money he had never seen in his life. But something always bothered him. All deliveries had to be done at night, no exceptions. "Why only at night?" he once asked his friend. "Less traffic," the friend replied casually. "Faster movement." Samuel wasn't fully convinced, but each time he returned home and saw his mother lying weak, heard the doctor talking about payments, and saw his father struggling, he pushed his doubts aside. And the money was working. He used it to sponsor his mother's treatment, hospital bills, drugs, checkups, and slowly, she began to respond to treatment. That alone was enough reason for him to continue. Then came one fateful day. The rain had fallen heavily since afternoon. The weather was cold, and the roads were wet and glistening under dim streetlights. At the office, Prince had just closed for the day. He wore a black hoodie over his clothes, trying to shield himself from the cold as he stepped out into the night. Driving home, something caught his attention. A boutique by the roadside had a beautiful outfit displayed outside. He slowed down. "That's nice," he muttered. On impulse, he parked and stepped inside. At the same time, Samuel had just picked up a delivery from the usual spot. The rain had reduced to a drizzle. As he rode, his mind was unsettled. Why only 9 deliveries? Why so much money? But before he could think further, the police stopped him. 2 policemen at a police checkpoint waved him down. Samuel slowed and stopped. "Your papers," one officer said. Samuel handed over his documents. his license, his dispatch ID. They checked, everything was in order. But then one officer looked at the delivery box. "What are you carrying?" Samuel hesitated slightly. "It's just a delivery, sir. I was asked to deliver it." "What's inside the box?" "I don't know, sir," Samuel replied. The officers exchanged glances. "You don't know?" the officer asked. "Yes, sir," Samuel replied. That answer raised suspicion immediately. "Open it," one of them said. Samuel's heart began to race. I was asked not to." "Open it," the officer backed. With shaky hands, Samuel unlocked the box. The officer brought out the package, opened it, and froze. Their expressions changed immediately. "This is hard drugs," one of them said under his breath. They looked at Samuel sharply. Samuel's eyes widened in shock. "What?" he stammered. "I swear I didn't know. I was only asked to deliver." "Shut up," one officer snapped. "You think we are fools?" the other added. Samuel panicked. "I don't know anything about this, please, I swear." But they weren't listening. "Put your hands behind your back," they said as they stepped forward to arrest him. Samuel's mind raced. If I get arrested, drug trafficking. He knew what that meant. Prison, long years. His mother, his family, everything would be destroyed. His heart pounded wildly, and in that split second, he ran. "Hey, stop!" the officer shouted. Samuel took off at full speed. He was fast, faster than most. His feet hit the wet ground rapidly as he sprinted through the dim streets. The officers chased after him, but they struggled to keep up. "Stop or we shoot!" they yelled, but Samuel didn't look back. He ran harder. Just ahead, Prince stepped out of the boutique, holding a bag of clothes. Before he could process anything, a man rushed past him at full speed. "Hey, watch it!" Prince said and staggered slightly as the man almost brushed against him. "What's going on?" he muttered in confusion. He turned, watching the man disappear into the distance. Then moments later, 2 policemen came running. Prince stepped aside to let them pass, but instead they stopped and turned to him. Before he could react, they rushed him. "Got you," one shouted. "What?" Prince barely had time to speak before they tackled him to the ground. "What are you doing?" he struggled. "What's the problem?" "You don't run finish," one officer backed. "I didn't do anything," Prince shouted, trying to free himself, but they pinned him down, dragged him up, and shoved him into their vehicle. "No, you're making a mistake," he yelled, but they didn't listen. At the station, Prince was thrown into a cell. They treated him like a criminal, rough, harsh, and unfair. "Confess," one of them demanded. "I don't know anything about drugs," Prince insisted. But to them, he was just another suspect trying to deny. They didn't realize they had caught the wrong person. Meanwhile, Samuel kept running. He didn't stop until his chest burned and his legs nearly gave way. Finally, he slowed down. He looked back. No one was behind him. He had escaped, but his heart was heavy. Something had gone terribly wrong. Later that night, Samuel went straight back to the base. His friend was there. "What did you give me?" Samuel demanded angrily. His voice shook with rage. "Police almost arrested me." His friend looked at him calmly. "You delivered it, didn't you?" "No," Samuel snapped. "They checked it. It was drugs." For a moment, there was silence. "You said it was just delivery," Samuel continued. "You didn't tell me I was carrying illegal drugs." His friend shrugged slightly. "You were getting paid, weren't you?" Samuel's fist clenched. "My life was at risk," he shouted. "Do you know what would have happened if they caught me?" But his friend's expression didn't change. "That's the business," he said coldly. Samuel stared at him, hot, angry, and betrayed. One of the men stood up immediately. "Where is the bike?" Samuel pointed angrily behind him. "They took it. Everything is gone." Another man moved closer, his face dark. "You mean to say you lost our goods?" "I almost got arrested," Samuel fired back. "You never told me I was carrying drugs." His friend's expression changed. "You were collecting money, weren't you?" he said coldly. Samuel stepped closer, his voice shaking with rage. "You lied to me. You said it was just delivery. You put my life at risk." "And you put ours at risk," another man shouted. "The police now have our product and our bike." "That's not my fault," Samuel snapped. "I didn't even know what I was carrying." A heavy slap landed across his face. He staggered. "You don't know?" one of them mocked. Before he could react, another punch hit him, then another. They didn't stop. Samuel tried to fight back, but there were too many. "You think this is a game?" one man roared. "Our entire operation is now exposed because of you." Blows rained down on him, hard, brutal, unforgiving. Samuel cried out, trying to shield himself, but they kept hitting him. His strength faded quickly. His body gave in. He collapsed, breathing faintly, barely alive. One of them spat on the ground. "Useless boy." They grabbed him and dragged his lame body out into the rain. Without care, they dumped him by the roadside. "Leave him there," one said. "If he dies, he dies." They turned and walked away. Samuel lay there, broken. Rain fell softly on his body.